on the Pentagon. It is really wet and rainy in downtown Newark, but we've got a ton of people. Okay, maybe not a ton. We've got a good amount of people standing out here in the rain, and more coming. So please share this out. We are about to get our rally started. We have a tent. And
we got a super little tent.
We're doing our best. Okay. Okay, Tom.
Okay, you got your umbrella?
I'm going to hand you the umbrella.
Okay.
I'll take this.
Yeah.
I got to give him an umbrella. Okay, we are now streaming. Tom's going to take the stream from me because we're going to get this rally going. Woo! Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, testing. Oh, can you turn it around? Okay, you good?
That would help.
How's it look?
Looks great.
And our people who are, we're streaming live with March on the Pentagon. That is a women's-led anti-war, anti-imperialism group started by Cindy Sheehan in response to the Women's March in 2017 that was leaving out messages like anti-war and anti-imperialism, etc. So first, I want to thank everyone for coming out in this crazy weather. I want to thank our sponsors and organizations who are here with us today. We have New Jersey Revolution Radio. Woo-hoo!
Okay.
We have the United Panther Movement. We have the Green Party of New Jersey. We have Jersey Shore Do Not Bombs. New Jersey Peace Council. March on the Pentagon. And I'm just going to give another shout out. We will be organizing an action in DC in October. We did an action in October of 2017, which was March on the Pentagon, Women's March on the Pentagon. And we had in October, that was October 2018. In October of 2019, we had Rage Against the War Machine. So we're going to have another action next October. Now, on to other sponsors and or president. We have the new African Black Panther Party. We have Extinction Rebellion New Jersey. The Anti-War Agenda. Party for Socialism and Liberation. And the Answer Coalition. I know some other folks are going to be talking about that this is a global day of action. Answer Coalition was one of the orgs to make that call. And we are here today to demand no war with Iran. We are here today to demand an end to all sanctions that the U.S. inflicts across the globe. Sanctions that account for the death of thousands of innocent people. We demand our troops leave Iraq now. We have been there for almost 17 years. The Iraqi government has asked us to leave. The people are asking us to leave. We must leave now. I remember in March of 2003, I was marching on the streets of Newark, and it was a rainy night after the bombs started in Iraq, and we were trying to stop the war back in 2003. It was rainy. We had many strong spirits and souls out. And I'm just going to remind everybody to protect your cell phones, because I actually killed my cell phone that day because of marching in the streets and getting caught up in the wonderful, beautiful solidarity of all of our peace activists. So watch your electronics, everybody. I know I love our spirit, but we got to be careful here. But I'm so goddamn angry that I'm still out here 17 years later in the goddamn rain asking for us to stop our endless wars. I'm glad we have a diverse group of people here today, because war affects everyone. And we must stand against today the true evil, and that is the greed of capitalism. Capitalism that supports and feeds the military-industrial complex. It destroys our environment. It destroys the lives of black and brown communities at home with environmental destruction, and by dragging us into endless wars abroad. Capitalism thrives in a racist society. So I just want to say I'm so proud for all of us standing out here. It's a little bit warm, but it's feeling a little bit cold because of the rain. But thank you. So we're going to get on to our speakers. First present on the list, we have Chairman Shaka Zulu with the New African Black Panther Party.
All power to the people. All power to the people. Today is an historic occasion in which we mark Newark, New Jersey as a base area of resistance for our oppressed people who are upset and tired at imperialism that is running naked, that is running aggressively over the human rights of oppressed people in the Middle East, oppressed people in Africa, and oppressed people in Latin America. It is there in the Middle East that we are here, but it's also for our brothers and sisters in Venezuela that we stand. It is also for our brothers and sisters in Bolivia who had to face this racist, fascist right wing that overthrew the legitimate elected president of Bolivia, Evo Morales. We also stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters who have to face the awesome might of African Command that is dropping bombs on the black and brown communities, blowing up little babies, blowing up villages, blowing up their life source well, which is water. And so we also stand in complete and total solidarity with any resistance forces around the world that are advocating for peace, but at the same time know that in order to get peace, you have to get rid of the peace. In order to get peace, you have to get rid of the peace. And this peace is monopoly capitalism. This peace is police brutality. This peace is Raytheon, McDonnell Douglas, and all these other militaristic companies. This peace is United States white racist determination to impose this domination on anyone, anywhere in the world. At the same time, it is unleashing chaos and anarchy because forces are fighting back. They may be reactionary forces, but they're fighting back. And our job is not to condemn those who are fighting back that are oppressed. Our job is condemn the big oppressor. The big oppressor have always been capitalism, imperialism, and we're telling the world today, North New Jersey is a base area of resistance. It's a base area of revolution. It's a base area of love. It's a base area of redemption. We don't have to depend on our oppressor. We can come together as brothers and sisters and resolve our own problems. And the big problem we have today is imperialism. We don't have a Donald Trump problem. We have a capitalism problem. And that's our focus. We need to stop these wars by any means necessary. All power to the people. All power to the people.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman. So yeah, my list and my paper's getting drenched, but that's okay. So also just wanted to bring up an event that's going on this evening in Highland Park at the Reformed Church of Highland Park. This evening from 7 to 9, we have an event to support the Embassy Protection Collective. The 4 arrestees who stood till the final days trying to protect the Venezuelan embassy will be in Highland Park this evening. They are trying to raise funds for their legal defense. They are going to court, I believe it's February 11th. Even if you can't give a donation, everybody is very, very welcome to come this evening. It's from 7 to 9 to hear the stories from our brave embassy protectors. So please come down if you can. Our next speaker, I'm going to bring Saber B up? Because I know one thing about Saber B is she's
No
always
war with
doing
Iran.
like 5,000 things at once. I know she just came from another event, so I'm going to make an assumption that she's probably going to another event. So, Saber B with the Newark Water Coalition. Thank you.
All power to the people.
Other people.
We're out here today letting people know in New Jersey, in Newark, and internationally that we are completely against this war with Iran. We have too many issues at home and too many issues with war right here for us to be someplace else, spending money, ruining economies, ruining environments, and ruining people's lives. Honestly, this water situation, I was speaking about it earlier, everyone is taking their cues from the commander-in-chief. And if it's okay to go and ruin the water sources in every place that there exists black and brown people, then of course a place like Newark, New Jersey is going to be a place where water is damaged and destroyed for black and brown people. This cycle has to stop. There has to be something that says, hey, water is important. Environmental necessities keep people alive. There cannot be a capitalist thing that you eat. Money we cannot eat. We cannot eat money. And at this point, capitalism has ruined my morning tea. I can't even have tea in the morning without filtering it 3 times because the water is so bad here. And it continues to be bad. And war continues to seep blood and oil and destruction into our streams. And when do we get peace? When do we get peace? So this is what we're out here for today. No war with Iran. Clean up the water and clean up these wars. Thank you. All power to the people.
Okay. Next we have Carlos Arreo.
There's more umbrellas.
Is with the Party for Socialism and Liberation.
All power to the people!
Good afternoon. My name is Carlos, and I'm a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I want to thank everyone that has made this day possible. Thank you. Most importantly, I want to thank everyone who came out today to demand no war on Iran. No war at all. No sanctions. No war.
No war!
Right. Sisters, today's a historic day. Today, working people around the USA and over 100 cities around the world are mobilizing in support of peace and demanding that the U.S. keeps hands off Iran. People around the world are standing in support and solidarity with the people in Iran, Iraq, as well as Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba, and all of the countries that are under sanctions and war under U.S. empire. Brothers and sisters, I want to say that these sanctions are criminal. Imagine if you had diabetes type 1 and I forced everyone around you to not give you the insulin that you need to stay alive. But what happens if you say, oh no, this is messed up, and you decide to call the cops? What if I was on the other line and I said, sorry, I'm not going to help you at all? These sanctions are killing people. These sanctions are starving people. There's over 500,000 dead Iraqis because of sanctions in the 90s as well as now. Messed up. Working people do not benefit from any type of war. The U.S. military budget that was authorized was over $700 billion. Why isn't this used to fix our pipes here in Newark, here in Essex County, here in Passaic County, here in every other county in North New Jersey? The only ones that benefit from war are these oil companies, the military industrial complex, and the finance industry. The only way these sanctions are ever enforced is when they get a bunch of lawyers from New York to prevent banks from even dishing out actual money for stuff like medicine and water and all those crucial necessities. And these people can't even get that. Our comrade Gloria LaRiva for the Party of Socialism and Liberation is running for a president, and a legendary indigenous revolutionary and political prisoner Leonard Peltier is our candidate for vice president. We cannot wait for politicians from either party to look after our interests. The system is rigged against us. Change has and only has come from the grassroots. Join us in the Party for Liberation, Socialism, and Answer Coalition. Thank you.
All power to the people!
Thank you, Carlos. And because you brought up some politics. So I want to give I don't know, it's not a shout out, a shout down to our too dead friendly, pretending to be lefty activists who put out a letter this week talking about that we have to vote blue no matter who, and that we should not be voting for independence this year. So we know we have some fake lefties out there that are willing to have endless wars. Don't care about the lives of black and brown people across the globe. Because basically, whether it's a D or an R next to your name, you're supporting the military-industrial complex.
Yep. That's fact.
So let's vote outside the box, continue to grow the movements that we are all a part of, and we will grow and work together on issues, because we're not going to get it from the D's or the R's. And on that note, we'll get something, but it's not going to be what we want. So on that note, we have Green Party U.S. Senate candidate in New Jersey for 2020. She ran in 2018. She's back again. U.S. Senate Green Party candidate Madeline Hoffman.
Thank you, Diane, and it's great that everybody came out today in the middle of the pouring rain. Years ago, we had a rally right near Penn Station, and it was a blizzard. There was snow coming down, and it was really bad, and only a few people showed up. But they said that for them, taking the train and coming out in the snow was a whole lot easier than living in Iraq at the time of the war. And we could say something very similar. We're standing here in the middle of the rain, but it's only rain. It's only going to make us wet. It's not going to kill us. It's not going to damage our houses. It's not going to damage our streets. But if we were living in Iraq, or if we were living in Iran, or if we were living in Afghanistan, we were living in Venezuela, we are facing other kinds of dangers. And the danger is what this U.S. government, not only in the last 3 years has been doing, but what this government has been doing since 9/11 and way before that. If you look at which presidents have been in power when there have been wars, imperialist wars like this, you have 2 Democrats and 3 Republicans or something like that. You have Barack Obama, you've got Clinton, and then you've got the 2 Bushes in there, and then Donald Trump. So we can't say this is an anti-Trump issue. It's an anti-imperialist issue. It's an anti-2-party system issue, because the Democrats, whenever they have a chance to vote for a military budget, there's no military budget that's too high for them to vote for. And even then, they'll add on to it in order to, I don't know, to show how strong they are, or, I mean, how militaristic and imperialistic they are. And so we've witnessed over the last couple of years, we've witnessed the U.S. tampering in the elections of Venezuela, and Venezuela has stood down and stood tall and kicked the United States out, for at least for now. Our puppet, U.S. puppet, he doesn't have any power, and he's kind of a laughingstock inside Venezuela. Unfortunately, the people in Bolivia who aren't quite so lucky and strong, we saw a coup in Bolivia not that long ago. And then we saw what was a totally illegal, uncalled for war crime, and that was the bombing of Soleimani. And that he's head of an army in Iran that the United States isn't even at war with, and he was not in Iran, he was in Iraq. He was in Iraq because we asked him to be in Iraq to help broker some peace. Oh yeah, right. So that action should not stand, should not be, the United States needs to be held accountable for that as a war crime. And I did see and read that some MP in Iran has put a $sign on Trump's head because, you know, you kill one of ours, we're going to put a price out for killing one of yours. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that that's how it's looked upon by the Iranian people. That We took out one of theirs with no cause in a criminal way. And then on top of that, did you see, how many of you saw the photographs and videos of 1 million people in Iraq who are standing up and saying, the United States, get out of here? And what does the United States say? No, we're going to stay. You know, the United States hasn't cared about democracy for many years, either in this country or overseas now. And so it's up to us, all of us here in New Jersey and in New York and around the country who are participating in today's Global Day of Action to prevent this war, any new war, from starting, ending the ones that were illegal to begin with in Afghanistan and Iraq, and listening to the people here and overseas who say, U.S., you're not welcome here, get out of here, take the money that we're spending on those wars, get out of where we're not wanted or where we should never have been in the first place, and spend the money here at home, here in Newark, to protect the water, here in the state of New Jersey, for those things that we need, for education, for health care, for tuitions, and the like. So on that note, I'll just repeat, my name is Madeline Hoffman. I'm the Green Party candidate for U.S. Senate against Senator Cory Booker, whose position on all these wars has been not very good indeed. He signed the Iran deal 5 years ago, or whenever it was signed, but at that time I was the director of a nonprofit peace organization. You don't know how much time we had to spend and how much effort we had to spend on convincing him that it was more important to have a peace deal than to continue the animosity toward Iran. So he has not been a friend. If you listen to him on Palestine, he says, oh, if you're concerned about the end of the occupation, I'm not your candidate. He said it very clearly and at least honestly, but absolutely the wrong position to hold on Palestine. We have to end the occupation, end our support for what Israel wants in the Middle East, and begin the process of withdrawing our troops and allowing those countries to return back to their own leadership and their own citizens. We must stand with them all together in our efforts to end imperialistic wars. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madeline. And up next, we have Natalia Meneses with Answer Coalition. Got to do some umbrella things. Okay, doing our best.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for coming here. We're all so dedicated for coming out on a day like this. But it's like our comrade Madeline was saying, a little rain isn't quite the same as like very brutal sanctions and very brutal bombing that's happening in the Middle East and other parts of the world. So I want to thank you again. So I want, if you're sick of our government spending money, spending $738 billion as of 2019 for this year, instead of people's needs, say no more war! No more war! No more war! If you're sick of them lying to us so they can justify bombing the Middle East or sanctioning Venezuela in the way they are, say no more war! No more war! That's right. I'm sick of the war too. I am sick of the lies. I'm sick of the bipartisan lies, and I'm sick of being told to vote blue. If you think that we should use that money to take care of people's needs, say no more war! No more war!
Okay.
On the same day that the Democrats voted to impeach Trump, there was a bipartisan vote to approve the $738 billion budget. That is ridiculous. That was a distraction to get us to not pay attention to how much they don't care about our needs and how much they feel the need to feed the that they took to approve money for an armed service in space. They did this in the matter of 1 day, including and they gave Trump $20 billion more than he asked for. And for what? For a 98 F-35 fighter jet.
Oh, not necessary.
They were both approved by both houses, exactly, not necessary. And you know, Chuck Schumer called this a middle-class priority, like the defense budget would have investment of middle-class priorities. That is not a priority to the working people of this country. What does an armed space service or fighter jet have to do with us? Nothing. Again, no more war!
No more war!
So what are our priorities? Our priorities are clean water for Newark, clean water for Flint, Medicare for all 200 million people who have private and no insurance. A priority is funding for food stamps that was cut recently, right before the war budget was approved. And it will affect 700,000 people in this country. We could use it to pay for the college tuition of 21 million students and cancel student debt, which is in the trillions. And every time the people of this country ask for even like a modest reform for people's basic needs like clean water, we are told that we need to wait for the right time or that we don't have the money for it. But we know that's a lie. We would think that the richest country in the world would have funding for this. Our government does not represent us or what we want or need. Trump himself campaigned as an anti-war candidate, but since fiscal year 2016, the budget has gone from $523 billion to $738 billion. Does that sound like an anti-war candidate to you? No, hell no. No more war!
No more war!
And now, you know we should be mad as hell that they're decreasing taxes for billionaires as of fiscal year 2018, and they're cutting food stamps. This budget is growing astronomically. It's out of control. Our fight for a better future is not in Iran. It's not in Venezuela. It's not in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or otherwise known as North Korea. Our fight is right here. Our enemies are right here. The same political and economic class that denies us health care, college, or most recently the cutting of food stamps without any of our input. What kind of democracy is that?
It isn't. Not at all.
These are the same people that want to wage war and want to sanction Iran. We have more in common with the people of Iran than we do with our own government. Now please repeat after me. Money for jobs and education, not for war and occupation.
Money for
jobs and education, not for war and occupation. Yeah! Woo! Thank you.
Thank you, Natalia. And thank you, shout out to the Answer Coalition for being one of the organizations that started this Global Day of Action for today. Thank you. Next up, we're going to have to do a little live streaming switch. Next up is Tom Violet. He's going to talk about something we've been working on in New Jersey called the Peace Congress. I'm just going to throw out now that anybody who is interested, we're going to take names, emails, and phone numbers. So here's Tom. It's going to just take one moment. Woo-hoo!
You take that, and then I'll give you the pack.
Yep. Could you put it in my pocket?
It's not plugged
Oh.
in. You need it plugged in?
Yeah, could you?
Yep.
Oh, if it's wet?
No, it was in my pocket,
Okay.
so it should be fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, everybody. We improvise in the rain. Oh. Okay.
Okay. First off, I want to say that I'm so very happy that I'm the minority here. I'm a undeservedly privileged white male, and typically at a peace rally, everybody looks like me. Male, female, kind of looks like me. That's one of the ideas of the Peace Congress. The Peace Congress actually started, if you think way back to early last year when Trump said, sticking his chest out, I'm going to have a military parade, because we saw that French president, who's now probably going to get kicked out of office because of all the protests, had one. Well, right away, we all thought, well, we're going to go down there and we're going to stand in front of a tank. Well, we organized, we got permits, we were gearing up to be ready to protest in the streets. And then the mayor basically of DC said, not on my street, you're not going to have it. So it was shut down. So we mobilized, over 200 peace organizations behind this effort because we were just waiting for something. After the Iraq War, things kind of went a little bit dormant. So we said, let's do a peace congress. And I'm actually going to take credit because I was on a call and I said, why don't we do a peace congress? So the idea is we got together in DC in a church. We had a basic idea. We threw some ideas around. It was everybody had a chance to say something, and we came up with some bullet points of what we wanted to take back. Well, one of them was the need to reach out to other communities, not because it sounded like the right thing to do, but because it was the only thing to do. Peace is interconnected with everything, absolutely everything. And I don't have to tell you folks here that, but we have to step into that space. So we had the Peace Congress, and then myself, Diane Moxley, and Dan Weinberg from Show Up America held a New Jersey Peace Congress, and we invited different groups in the state. And one of the things out of that was that we really need to go to where folks are most affected by war and by the offshoot of war, be it environmental degradation, the Newark water crisis. And we're in the process of setting up a Peace Congress in Newark, New Jersey as well. And so there'll be more news about that, what that'll look like. And like Diane said, if you're interested, give us your email address, and it's in the works probably for the spring. We've already been working with some folks that are right here now. So I don't want to go on too long. I don't know how long this thing's going to hold up. Thank you. Thanks all for coming out. This is awesome.
All power! Do you want to do it? The other one was...
What?
The other one was weekend.
My umbrella? Oh, it was.
War and occupation. Money for jobs and education. Not for war and occupation. Money for jobs and education. Not for war and occupation. Money for jobs and education. Not for war and occupation.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty bad out here. I have an excellent umbrella that apparently just sprung a leak. So we had to do a little, we're getting through it. So thank you so much, guys.
It's working, right?
So
It's
now
working.
We have Esteban Rivera with Cancer Coalition. Look at Tucker Bear with his own little bullhorn, but we have many.
You guys know baby home. We can't have enough. We can't have enough. Thank you, Diane. Thanks everybody for coming. This is awesome. I mean, this might seem a little, but look at the rain. Look at everybody here. I want to put this into context. I want to remind everybody that today is a historic day. We haven't had a movement of people, of solidarity, in such a long time, since the Iraq War. And I wasn't really involved in the Iraq War, but this is huge. We're talking about over 170 cities here in the U.S., over 40 states, over 20 countries. As Madeline mentioned, Iraq it blew my mind. Millions of millions, which shows that the Iraqi people, they're truly tired of this. They've been, if we really think back, the Iraqi have been occupied since 1991.
That's right.
Not since 2001. We're missing 10 years, right? Because between the first war and the second war, we've had bases in Iraq. in the northern part of Iraq, in the southern part of Iraq. So the Iraqi are really, really tired, and they're showing it now. Not only are the people standing up, but their government are standing up. Their Congress and the Prime Minister told the U.S., get the hell out. What did Trump say? No. Like any colonizer, no. Because if we go, we're going to take your money, the money that's safe in the federal bank. So, again, this is a historic day. People are not just coming out in solidarity with Iran, but people are coming out to say, we are tired of war. We are tired of spending trillions of dollars in endless wars that do not serve us at all. Meanwhile, while we're sending our youth to die and kill and traumatize them, we are here, people here starving. Here in Newark, in any city in the U.S., gentrification is uprooting people and taking homes. Many Americans are one bill away from bankruptcy, one medical bill away. If you're diagnosed with cancer, you are bankrupt. And this is in the richest country in the world, and in history, not only right now, but before. We have the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos. Meanwhile, we have one out of 9 children in hunger, with food insecurity. This is not fair. So again, I just want to remind people before I go that this is a historic day. We should be proud that we're here, because we are the real resistance.
Yes, we are.
We are. As of right now, in this whole week, which I haven't watched because I have to be honest, it's just boring. This political theater that's called impeachment. Because if you really want to impeach Trump, you don't do it because of a phone call. You do it on the bombs that he dropped in Syria. You do it because he's siphoning money from the working class to the rich in the form of taxes, tax cuts. You do it because he's trying to regress and cut back, and he's trying to cancel whatever little we gain with what's so-called the Obamacare. So, if they really want to impeach him, they'll impeach him for those crimes that are against humanity, not for a phone call. So I want to thank you guys, and I want to tell you, we are the real resistance. And when next year comes, don't look for the Democrats, don't look for the Republicans, look for the independents. Okay, whether it'll be Gloria Riva in the Party for Socialism and Liberation, or anybody who the Green Party will plan to put in as candidate. We have other options. We know from history that change comes from us, from the grassroots. It doesn't come from the top to the bottom. It comes from the bottom up. So let's keep that into perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Esteban. We did cover our list of speakers, so we can open up to people who weren't on the list. I want to thank our wonderful organizers. We were doing this with Facebook messaging chat, but we're going to try to organize a peace congress, so we're going to have ways of mobilizing fast action. And just so people know, we don't want groups to lose their identities. We just want to support each other and come up with better techniques for mobilizing action. And so, I know we have some people who want to speak who weren't on the list. So, I'm sorry, Jay Arena, and you are with Resist the Deportation Machine and many hats. Okay, hang on, and Jay
There are
Arena.
umbrellas if you want. Well, you're wet already.
Well, give yourself a big round of applause. You guys are real troopers to be out here in this torrential downpour. I text Esteban a little bit earlier, are we still going to have this? And he said, yeah, the real fighters. But I'm Jay Arena. I live here in Newark. I'm with the Resist the Deportation Machine, Jobs and Equal Rights for All. And this past month, I was also part of a delegation to Venezuela to see firsthand the attacks, the sanctions. So I'm glad to see no assassinations, no interventions, and no sanctions, because sanctions are killers as well.
Yes, they are.
Just like
as Esteban said, the 10 years from the 90s, they were occupying, but they were carrying out sanctions that killed millions of Iraqis. I remember the cold-blooded response of Madeleine Albright, not Madeline Hoffman, Madeleine Albright on 60 Minutes, when she said, you know, you've killed 500,000 children, I think 500,000, with those sanctions. Is it worth it? Yes. These are murders, and we know in Venezuela the sanctions have killed 40,000 Venezuelans. Lack of medicine, lack of implements for medicine, for hospitals, for farming. I saw the firsthand impact. Seeds, just the very elemental needs of a society. Seeds to grow food, which you're trying to increase, have been impacted by these sanctions. But the other message is people are resisting. They're fighting back, and that's why it's so important that we're standing up here in the belly of the beast, uniting with the fighters in Venezuela. Last week they had 100,000 people that marched in support of against the golpistas and in support of the resistance against imperialism, which you don't see in the mass media. As we strengthen our movement here, that's going to strengthen the fight in Venezuela. In Iraq, we know there was over 1 million people in the streets demanding U.S. out. We got to raise that message here. U.S. out of Iraq, U.S. out of Iran, U.S. out of Venezuela, U.S. out of everywhere. And finally, I want to also emphasize the role of the Democrats. We know Trump, and I know other people have talked about this, but this is driven home, especially right here, where we are standing, the headquarters of the Democratic County Executive, Joseph Deportation Joe DiVincenzo, who runs one of the biggest ICE concentration camps in the country. We know U.S. imperialism, these wars are what force people to immigrate. Now, we're socialists. I believe in open borders. People should have the right to move wherever they want, but they also have the right to stay put and not be driven out by U.S. imperialism. And these same rotten Democrats are the ones that are supporting these attacks on Venezuela. They're just as militaristic against Venezuela as Trump is. In fact, Obama started the sanctions, which Trump has deepened. So they have supported these attacks. And then when people are forced out of their homes, they are the first ones to shuttle them into the concentration camps. Right here, Joe DiVincenzo is now putting up a building. This is a real crime. The Martin Luther King office building he's going to put up here. And yet this criminal is carrying out policies 180 degrees in opposition to what King stood for. A year before he died, he called the U.S. government the biggest, thank you, you know the quote better than I do, the greatest purveyor of violence in the world, and that's ever more so today. And Joe Deportation Joe, and all these Democrats are part of that purveying of violence around the world and right here in Omaha. We got to build a movement, a real independent, working class movement for a real alternative, fighting for the world that we want. Jobs for all, free public services for all, equal rights for all, make the rich pay, and end their rotten war machine. Thanks.
Right. Amen. Amen. That's powerful. I'm going to get out of this very name. What's your name?
Uh-oh. Time to go.
Let's go get wet. You want to take the umbrella?
Thank you so much today. I just also want to say again, our live stream, everybody go to the Facebook page, March on the Pentagon. It's a women's-led group. For more information, you can also go to the website, which is marchonpentagon.com. You just leave out the. marchonpentagon.com. I know we're going to be wrapping up soon because it's getting a little windy and rainy. So I just also want to remind everybody, this evening, Highland Park, at the Reformed Church in Highland Park, We have the embassy protectors, the 4 arrestees who are going to trial in February for protecting the embassy of a legitimate government. They were invited by the Venezuelan government. These brave comrades face, I believe it's a year in jail and 100,000 in fines, each of them. So you can meet the 4 brave protectors and learn more. Do we have anybody else who would like to speak? Yes, thank you. And your name is? Well, you can give your name and yours.
Hi, my name is Max Evan Aguayo. I'm with the Party of Socialism and Liberation. I'm just going to speak shortly because I know everyone's trying to get out of here in the rain, but I thank everybody for coming out. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing having people stand against this war and showing solidarity. First off, I want to show some solidarity with all oppressed peoples around the world, from the Philippines to Brazil to India to Rwanda. Everybody in the world, we're facing the same oppression, the same colonial masters that keep us oppressed. And I heard a lot about the history of America during the talks. It made me think about even further back, before even Bush and Obama and Reagan. We've been at constant warfare since World War I. We've been in constant warfare since the times that we stole this land from the indigenous peoples that lived on this land. We came to this, over hundreds of years we've been at constant warfare because we've constantly pillaged, we've constantly stolen and taken. I want to stand in solidarity with all immigrants who come to this land, who are always oppressed, who are always marginalized, who are always put out there to be like they really can't fit into our society. They really can't get this. They're taking our jobs. That's what the platform that Trump ran on. And last off, we talked a lot about Bolivia, the coup that went on, the illegal coup, the war crimes that go on, the war crimes they killed that man in Iraq that was invited there by the United States. But I want to talk about Puerto Rico because in Puerto Rico, it's been a war crime since its inception. Since the United States took it to Spain as a colonial possession. And since that day, Puerto Rico has had no sovereignty. The Puerto Rican people that they actually forced to move to America under Operation Bootstrap, which kind of pushed Puerto Ricans on their own island so they become more available to Americans. And they sterilized women, 1/3 of the women in Puerto Rico involuntarily. They sterilized the women so they wouldn't populate more Puerto Ricans on the island. Now you see how Puerto Ricans, the conditions that we live in today, is the same conditions that we lived in the 40s, in the 50s, in my grandmother's era. And we're supposedly, I can't put my hands up, but U.S. citizens. Yeah, we are second-class citizens. Just like all black and brown people in this country, we are treated as second-class citizens. Many times I've been put on the floor by police, stopped and frisked. I've had a gun put on my back by the police officers and just for riding my bike in the street. Anyway, the Puerto Rican people, we need to stand in solidarity with the Puerto Rican people. We need to stand in solidarity with them gaining their independence because this is all bullshit. When they're like, oh, which one, statehood or Commonwealth? That is neither a benefit to the Puerto Rican people. One, so they can build more Walmarts, so they can build more Church's Chickens, more American corporations moving in. Speaking of the Caribbean, I want to stand in solidarity too, because it hits my heart deeply with Haiti. I've been to Haiti several times. I've seen how the people live there. But the one thing that I admire about the Haitian people is their humility and how they walk. They walk with pride. They walk with their African roots. They are proud of that. Not like in this country where they teach us that that is a bad thing to be dark. Because black is beautiful and black is a beautiful thing. I like to stand in solidarity with the Cuban people because Cuba gave the example of all socialists around the world, how we can stand up and fight against imperialism, how the Cuban Revolution still stands today. Today, socialism still exists in Cuba, and it is not by no means faltering. And lastly, we need to say no more war, because this constant warfare is a horrible thing. It kills people, it oppresses people, people are going hungry around the world, yet we are funneling billions and billions of dollars into a military budget that does nothing but oppresses people. And lastly, I want to say thank you for everybody for hearing me out. Everybody stand up against the war, and let's keep fighting back. Let's keep this movement going strong.
have any other speakers that we haven't heard from and weren't on the list? Okay, I know we've been great standing at here for a while, but thank you everybody viewing on the live stream. And we're going to kill the live stream and we're going to try to get connections, contacts, because unfortunately our work is not done. But I believe that we will win.
I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win.
You're not a speaker.
Very welcome, of course. Anytime, every time. I think
That's fine. I'll see you later.
I wasn't here then.
Yes,